welcome back to the Basement Gun Shop. This is going to be a little disappointing. I packed everything up this morning and went to the range with the 80% build to shoot it, and when I got there the range was jam-packed and I didn't have room to set up my tripod and everything else. So unfortunately I don't have video from shooting it, but what I do have is a wicked good target. But let's talk about the 80% build and the equipment that's on it, namely the Vortex Strike-Fire optic. So, I have identified a little bit of an issue with the Duracoating process on an 80% receiver. I have some scrape marks here from the charging handle where it's actually taken the Duracoat off. That tells me that the forged finish is really not good for the Duracoat to bond to the receiver. So if I'm going to do more forgings or castings, either way, I'm going to have to pick up a dry blast cabinet and some dry blast media, probably glass bead. That would be the finest. And that would give it almost a perfect surface for the Duracoat to bond to. As far as Duracoat on the hardcoat anodized surfaces like the upper receiver and the foregrip, it's all good. No nicks, no chunks, no nothing. You might see the black in there. That's the rail covers that I picked up and the angled foregrip that I forgot to put on when I finished it. But if you watch the finished video, I put some still images at the end, close-ups and all that other good stuff. So, what went wrong? Well, the bolt is not locking back when I run a magazine empty. That could be a number of issues. I haven't pulled the gun apart. I literally just finished unpacking the car from the range and started shooting this. It could be a number of factors. It could have been the ammunition I was using. I was using reloads, and they were 55 grain lead soft points, pointed soft points, but still, they might not have had enough power to lock the bolt back on the last shot. The gun cycled cleanly. I had no feeding issues whatsoever with it, shooting that ammo. So the gun functions almost perfectly. Almost. When a magazine, if I pull back on the charging handle, the bolt locks back with the magazine. So that tells me there's not a problem with the bolt catch, because it's not tight. It's fairly loose. So that's not it. So we could have an issue with the Duracoat on the inside of the upper receiver, slowing the bolt down. I could also have an issue with the buffer. This has a heavy buffer in it. So I put a little more weight on the buffer with this order. So that could be the issue. So I have some buffers laying around. The next time I take this to the range, I'm going to take a light buffer with me and some factory ammo, and I'm going to shoot the gun as is with the factory ammo. I just picked up some more Independence 5.56, and that's a mil-spec ammo. So I'm going to shoot that and see how that works out. If the bolt locks back, then I know it was the ammunition I was using and nothing with the gun or the buffer. If that's not the case, I'm going to switch back to some of the reloads I was shooting today and put the light buffer in it. And then if it doesn't lock back, then we have issues with the Duracoat adding friction on the inside. On this build, I did not use the self-lubricating Duracoat formula. I used just the regular Duracoat. So that could be an issue. I don't believe so. It could be. This is also a piston gun, so you can run the bolt drier than you can with a non-piston or a direct impingement gun. So I might just not have enough lube on the bolt. So these factors will be worked out the next time I take it to the range. As far as the optics that I had at the range today, I had the Stag Model 8T with the Sightmark red dot on it. I had one issue with the Sightmark. After I believe it was my third shot, the sight just turned off and I had nothing. And then I tightened down the battery cap and turned the sight off and back on again, and it worked fine the rest of the day. No issues, no nothing. It sighted in really well. I know this target looks like garbage because one of the guys there was having trouble with his 22 in an AR platform, and he asked me to shoot it, and I was done shooting the Stag at this target, and I was getting ready to shoot the 80% build, and so I just dumped a couple of his 22 rounds at this target. But this right here is the last 3 shots with the Sightmark. It has a 4 MOA dot, so that 4 MOA dot is covering at 50 yards because it was windy today. So again, I was only shooting at 50 yards. That 4 MOA dot is covering 2 full inches of the target. So in 3 round groups, putting 3 a half an inch to the left, but right dead center as far as elevation, and you can see, at least I hope you can, trying to get a little light right here, these 3 rounds are literally touching, so I can't complain about that. If I had a pin, I could probably stick it up so the target would hang and I could zoom in on it. After I shot in the Sightmark red dot, I decided it was time to let the 80% build bark for the first time. And with these the Michelek compensators, they do bark, let me tell you. Even the guys down there thought I was shooting a 308, it was so loud. So, how did that do? Oh my goodness. Using the big dot, I came up, I was 3.5 inches, give or take, to the right, dialed it in, another 3, dialed it in, and center punched it. After that, it was a simple matter of, 3 rounds here, all within half an inch, 5 rounds here, 3 rounds here, and okay, 4 of them off high left, so I did a little more adjustment with the Vortex. One thing I noticed was I actually used that little 2-power magnifier that came with it. And to my eye, that magnifier made that dot a perfect dot. It wasn't blurry, it wasn't strange, but it actually tightened my groups up when I put that lousy little 2x magnifier on it. So it helped. I was kind of surprised at that. A 2-power magnifier, what difference could 2-power make from, from 1, which is no magnification, to, 2-power. But it actually cleaned the sight up, cleaned the dot up, and made that dot look perfect. It really did narrow your field of view like I thought it would, but it actually helped. I only shot a couple rounds with it, and then I took it off and went back to just plain strike fire with no magnification and my eye. So I've got to pin this target up. I'm going to stop the camera. Give me just a second. Pinned up the target, and this was the last group I shot with the 80% build with the Vortex Strike Fire optic. Again, that's a 4 MOA dot, and after actually taking it out to the range and seeing it shoot, it is a 4 MOA dot. So that 4 MOA dot covers 2 full inches. You know, each of these little blocks right here are 2 inches. The point of this diamond to the point of this diamond, the white part here, is 1 inch. So I was aiming here. I had 2 full inches covered by the dot, which is from this 1/2 inch mark down to this 1/2 inch mark, and that's 5 rounds right there. Actually, that's 4 and 1 little flyer. And that was out of the 80% AR, and needless to say, I am just wicked happy. Even with the few issues I had with it, which, I mean, the only issue I had with it was the slide not locking back. Functionally speaking, you know, the gun functioned flawlessly with every pull of the trigger. The bolt cycled, chambered around, fired, cycled, chambered around, fired, cycled, chambered around. It was flawlessly, it was running flawlessly, except for when that last round goes off, the bolt doesn't cycle far enough back to catch the bolt release. So I'm going to pull it apart later, and I'll let you know what I find at some point in time in a video. But that's it. I wish I could have got the camera set up, but there were 5 or 6 guys with bench rests. The club I normally go to is big on bench rest matches, and these guys have, oh my goodness, they're I can't even call them guns, simply because they can't be fired without being mounted to a bench. But hey, it's what they're into, and I appreciate the engineering, and I appreciate the precision that goes into shooting a group like that, but at 200 yards, and where group sizes in competition are measured in the 1,000th of an inch rather than in the 1/2 inch, you know, where your first bullet hole now becomes your target. I can appreciate that and the precision it takes. I think a firearm should be more suitable. I can take this to the target range, I can defend my house with it, I can go shoot 3-gun matches with it or military style rifle matches with it. It just doesn't have one use, you know. So, but that's my personal opinion. If there's any bench rest guys watching, please don't go up in flames. I thoroughly understand the fascination and the addiction to that kind of precision. I really do. It's just not for me. You know, that's simple. But that's how everything turned out today at the range with the 80% build. I got another build coming up next week. Some of the parts are already in, and I hope you stay tuned for that one, because I think it's going to be wicked cool when I get it done. And then I'm going to have to find a special range to shoot it at, because if I take it to my range, they will get upset with me, and out of respect for the club and the neighbors, all I'm going to do is some sighting and some target shooting. I'm not going to let the Gadsden flag themed AR run wild at this club. So, hey, you got any questions or comments, please, as usual, by all means, leave them below in the comments. If you like the channel, like it, subscribe, even better. And thanks for watching. I appreciate it. So, until next time, stay safe and keep shooting.